Boom! Welcome back to another episode of the Dubcast, latest sports podcast around town. Yeah, I'm Farid. I'm your host Lee. And once again, thank you for joining us. Um, Before we go any further, remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, wherever you listen to your podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. If you can rate us 5 out of 5, we'd love that. But if you can only give us a 3, we'll take that as well. Coming soon to the podcast, we will be providing a few lines for betting. So whatever platform you use, whether it be Just Bet365, any bet, whatever platform you use, predictions will be coming, and these are predictions of my own statistical opinion, and you can do with that information whatever you want to do with that information. But yeah, now we'll get into it too deep. Before we go any further, big up the money makers man them over. So I we'll jump right into it. So all game twos have been completed. They ran from Monday into Wednesday for both the East and the West. The results are in, and this is what going on with the Monday. But before we get into that, just a few updates on the NBA awards that were shared in the previous episode. So if you never know the selection them that I selected, go back, check it out, compare, leave a comment, and let me know. Now for 6th man of the year, I had selected Peyton Pritchard, and Peyton Pritchard was selected as 6th man of the year. Big up yourself, Peyton Pritchard. Anyway, there. For clutch player of the year, I had selected Anthony Edwards. However, Jalen Brunson won it. Big up yourself, Jalen Brunson. Deserved, not gonna lie. And for defensive player of the year, I had Dicey Daniels as my pick. However, Evan Mobley won it. My thoughts are shared on why I think Dyson deserved it. Ultimately, Evan Mobley won it. So big up yourself anyway, the Evan Mobley. And as the other selections come out, I will share my opinions on same. But yeah, we're not gonna talk too long. I'll get into it now. Now for game 2, all game 2s will start in the East with the Detroit Pistons versus the New York Knicks. Now, it was a great game. Detroit won 100-94 from start to finish. It was end to end. Both teams came out with their A game, and ultimately, I would like to think, at least based on what I watched, the better team did win the game in the end. The team that deserved to win won. We'll just run through a couple stats. So, after a fairly lackluster performance from Cade Cunningham in game 1, he did step up. He went 11 of 21 shooting, finished at 33 points and 12 rebounds, and but he did have 5 turnovers. So that's just something for watch right there. Jalen Duren did step it up, ending with 12 points, 13 boards, and 2 assists. He's been, climbing that assist chart, so hats off to Jalen Duren. Dennis Schroeder off the bench contributed 20 points. So that in itself is amazing. And Tobias Harris also contributed 15 points and 13 boards. Things that Detroit need to work on. Tim Hardaway Jr. You can't show up one game and then the next game you lost. That don't make any sense. Game 1, him have 19 points. Game 2, him have 0 points. Game 3 was actually played tonight. That's April 24th as I'm recording this. However, you guys won't hear it until Friday. So he did have a really big night, but we'll speak about that in the next episode. Tonight, however, the wishy-washy thing won't work. Same goes for Malik Beasley. He did contribute 20 points in game 1, and then in game 2 he only had 9. So the inconsistency is not going to help Detroit. They need both their starters, so from Azar Thompson to Cade Cunningham to Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren and Tim Hardaway, the starters, they have to show up. The benchman them, Beasley, Schroeder, Reed, Holland, Isaiah Stewart is actually injured, but when he gets back, the benchman them need to step up them thing, because the starters can't do it by themselves. The bench is needed. They did win the game, but those are some factors that would have, helped. They were able to out-rebound the Knicks, who do have both Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson on their squad. Mitchell Robinson being 7 feet and Towns being 7 feet. So you have two bigs on a side, and you were able to out-rebound the side 48-34. So good showing. For the Knicks, wasn't a bad game for Josh Hart. Ended with 10 points, 7 boards, 5 assists. A typical night for him. He's not much of a scorer. He's a facilitator, and he can grab those boards for you. Wasn't a bad night for Jalen Brunson. He did everything he could. 37, 3 and 7. Really good. Mikal Bridges was not bad. Also 19 and 5. However, 3 of 11 from 3. So that was a cause of concern. Mitchell Robinson did contribute 7 rebounds, so not bad. Points and things that need to be worked on. OG Anunoby, another inconsistent player. You can't score 25 or 23 game 1, then you come game 2 and you only give me 10 points. That don't make no sense. OG only had 10 points, 5 boards, 2 assists. No, that can't work. You can't play the game for 42 minutes and only have 10 points, 5 boards and 2 assists. Karl Anthony Towns played for 33 minutes. He was 5 of 11 from field goal percentage, and he only had 10 points and 6 boards. You're 7-10. Why are you finishing the game with under 10 rebounds? That doesn't make no sense. Here's what needs to happen. The series at the time of this recording, New York managed to win in Detroit, so the series is now tied 2-1. However, Detroit has an opportunity to tie the series and finish this game in 6 if they are serious. Knicks is leading 2-1, but we have a next game at home to play, Detroit that is. Tie it up 2-2. Go back to New York. If you lose, you're down 3-2. But if you win, you're up 3-2. You go home game 6. You win 4-2. And you get maybe 2 days extra rest before you have to play a second round. My prediction did have Detroit in 7, and I do believe it will go 7 games. I genuinely think this is one of the more interesting matchups. So let's see what needs to happen. For the second game 2 in the East, we do have the Bucks versus the Pacers. Damian Lillard was back for this game, and the Bucks definitely needed that. However, it was not enough. It was not enough. Giannis had 34, 18 and 7, near triple-double again. Kyle Kuzma, after his 0 stat line, he was able to bounce back and produce 12 points, 3 boards, and an assist. Brook Lopez only had 8 points to contribute. Damian Lillard came back and gave them 14 points, 3 boards, 7 assists. The big man of the game for the Bucks, outside of Giannis, however, was Bobby Portis, who had been previously suspended until the last 3 games of the season, regular season that is, came in and provided 28 points, 12 boards. Here's what needs to happen for the Bucks, because they are now down 2 games and the series shifts to Milwaukee. Giannis is doing everything he can do. He has been phenomenal game 1 and game 2. However, Giannis cannot do it by himself. What needs to happen? Damian Lillard has to step up. Understandably, he is recovering from an injury. Don't get me wrong, but we need a bigger production from him. Kyle Kuzma, if he is not going to perform, bench him. It makes no sense. You are brought in to provide scoring for a team and you can only produce maximum 15 points. That makes no sense. Are you a basketball player or you a fashionista? Let me know you do Kyle Kuzma. Brook Lopez. Get me wrong, Brook Lopez, I'm old, like dirt. I'm 37. But Steph Curry is also 37. Not saying the two same type of player, but I'm just saying, but now go use your age to determine how you play. But 8 points, right? Contributing 8 points in a playoff game, you have to get more serious than that. Brook Lopez is an NBA champion, so him understand what it takes to be in these playoffs. Me now go sit down here and rehash in previous stats them from when did I do the year when them win the championship, and I'm not gonna rehash that. What I'm gonna say is you have to step up. The team need you. Bobby Portis, great off the bench. After being poor in game 1, him come back with a fire, and that's what they need. I fear that they may have to start thinking about benching Taurean Prince and starting Bobby Portis. I'm so sorry, Taurean Prince, but no contribution was there. The bench did. I'm not even sure what the bench did. Gary Trent only had 4 points. Kevin Porter only had 9 points. And anybody else that played did not contribute much. So the bench has to step up for the Bucks. Damian Lillard has to make his presence felt going home, and Kyle Kuzma has to start actually behaving as though he's a professional basketball player. I don't know what else to say to this brother. The Bucks did lose 115 to 123. The Pacers were immaculate actually. Siakam contributed 24 points, 11 boards, 3 assists. Neesmith 16 points, 2 boards, 2 assists. Miles Turner had 15 points, 2 boards. He did also have 2 blocks and a steal. Typical day in the office for Miles Turner. He's always going to register a block or 2. Tyrese Haliburton did come out of his shooting slump in a sense, as he did finish 21, 5 and 12. One thing Tyrese Haliburton gonna do, pass the ball. So you can always count on him to give you those assists. Andrew Nembhard had 17 points, 3 boards, and 6 assists. And Benedict Mathurin off the bench provided them with 14 points. Right now, I don't have any notes that can improve the Pacers in terms of, getting over any hurdles, because right now the Bucks don't seem like a hurdle. Them kind of just seem like a bump in on the road where them are gonna just drive right over. Bucks need to clean up the turnovers as well. The ratio was 15 to 8, and I don't know, start score some buckets. I don't know if I tell you, because if you guys are swept, serious conversations are going to be had in Milwaukee, starting with Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham. Get them niggas out of there. Alright. Now for the other game in the East, Orlando Magic versus the Boston Celtics. We saw the Celtics winning 109 to 100. Point to note that Jason Tatum did not play in this game, but the Celtics were able to still beat the Magic on home court 100 to 109. Paolo Banchero had an amazing game, 32, 9 and 7. Franz Wagner finished with 25, 4 and 4. Wendell Carter had 16 and 8, and the bench combined for 17 points. What needs to be fixed for Orlando going back home down 2-0 for the Celtics? With the Celtics, sorry. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, he only had 3 points and 4 boards. The bench was able to score more points combined than Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Game 1, he only had 6 points. So he's trending downwards. What needs to happen for the Magic? They need to get Caldwell Contavious Pope. They need to get him active and involved. Something has to happen. He's not a stranger to playing in the playoffs. He's not a stranger to winning in the playoffs. Something needs to happen. They can't continue to rely on him to get up those shots if he doesn't plan to get up those shots. Call it, maybe it's nerves, even though he's pretty experienced in the playoffs, so I'm not expecting nerves from a seasoned veteran. But if it is nerves, the series does shift to Orlando, and he does typically play well at home. So maybe we'll see an uptick in his performance once the series shifts to home. Now for the Celtics, everyone showed up. Everyone showed up for the Celtics. Al Horford finished 9 and 10. Jaylen Brown was magnificent, 36, 10 and 5. Kristaps Porzingis, after a poor game 1, was able to bounce back for 20 and 10. Drew Holiday did his regular showing of 11, 4 and 6. Derek White, coming off that amazing 30-point game, was able to contribute 17, 6 and 5. And Peyton Pritchard, 6th man of the year, was also able to contribute 14 points and 3 boards off the bench. Now, kindly note that all of this is being done without Jason Tatum. Now, in the regular season, when the Celtics had to play without Tatum, they were still a really good team. So there was no doubt in my mind that, they didn't have a chance to win this game. The opportunity for the Magic to win the game significantly increased because Tatum is one of their star players. However, they have a lot of star power. So him being out, though it gives Orlando a better chance, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will win the game. And they showed it. They showed why they are the defending champions last night, because their leader was down and they were still able to rally around and get this win. So, what needs to be adjusted for the Celtics? Not much outside of, continuing to play as a team, limit the turnovers, because they were the team with the more turnovers last night, going 10, whereas the Magic only had 7. They did manage to out-rebound the Magic 46-34, and that is in part to the 30 rebounds Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and Kristaps Porzingis were able to take away from them. So it's just a matter of being cohesive throughout these games and ensuring that you don't slip up. But that was all for the Celtics. For the last game in the East, we did have the Miami Heat playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, in my predictions, I did state that I do have Cleveland winning in 5. Now, it can be said that Cleveland may win in 4, but I don't want to speculate, because it's quite possible that Miami will turn it around once they go home. Miami did lose 112-121. Key players for Miami last night were Bam, Tyler Hero, and Davion Mitchell, as well as the bench that provided 33 points for them. Bam finished 11-14-9. Tyler Hero finished 33-6-5, and Davion Mitchell did get the start as predicted from the last video and was able to contribute 18-6. Plays persons that were lacking: Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is an acquired player from the Golden State Warriors, so I am familiar with his game. I know what he's capable of, especially defensively. I'm not expecting a 10-1-3 night from Andrew Wiggins as an NBA champion who has played beside one of the greatest players in this game, as well as Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. Pick it up. Khalil Ware. It's safe to say that the lights are too bright. He has been phenomenal for the Heat since starting, but the lights are too bright. Would I give him the start in game 3 at home? I would. Why? Because the lights bright away from home, maybe they're a bit dimmed when you're back on home court. So I'd give him the benefit of the doubt where that is concerned. You're down 2-0 to a really good Cleveland Cavaliers team. You do not want to go down 3-0 and then only win 1 game at home. The aim for Miami is to win those 2 games, tie the series up, and push this to 7. For the Cavs, Evan Mobley was phenomenal. He did show up. He had 20 points, 6 rebounds. Max Strus also showed up. 14 points, 6 assists. Darius Garland was phenomenal. 21 points, 2 boards, 9 assists. And as usual, Donovan Mitchell was able to contribute and give his team 30 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. The bench was able to contribute 27 points, led by DeAndre Hunter, who had 12. Ty Jerome only scored 6. However, he was decently impactful in the small time that he did play, because he contributed 6 points, he had a board, and he had an assist. So not too bad for Ty Jerome off the bench. What needs to be fixed for the Cavaliers? Jared Allen needs to get more consistent. Consistency is lacking, and that will have a negative effect on them going forward as they comb through the streets of the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. Once they rectify that, I fear I may have to change my selection and say Cavs in 4. But Miami's worst nightmare is going down 3 zip, winning only one, and going back to Cleveland. Going back to Cleveland down 2-2 or tied 2-2, as opposed to going back to Cleveland down 3-1 is different. You'll have to win 4 games. I don't see Miami winning 4 games against Cleveland. I'm so sorry. Mean a business when nobody wants it. Shifting over to the Western Conference, we'll start with the Golden State Warriors. Now, the Warriors did lose 94-109. Big news coming out of the game. Jimmy Butler was injured by Amen Thompson off of trying to get a rebound, and Amen Thompson kind of just took his legs from underneath him. As of now, recording this, the damage is not too severe, but he may not play in Game 3, and that's a huge blow, but it's home court, so we're hoping that us Warrior fans don't have to worry too much. We did have a decent showing from the supporting cast. Moses Moody had 12 points, 2 boards, 1 assist. Draymond, 8 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 3 steals, 1 block. Chef was able to finish the game 20 points, 5 boards, 9 assists, and the bench combined for 52 points, all while playing Jonathan Kuminga. Series is tied at 1-1. What needs to happen for the Warriors? My thing is, what will the game plan look like without Jimmy Butler for Game 3? He's a huge factor in that squad right now. So what needs to change? What adjustments have to be made? Does Steve Kerr start Gary Payton Jr.? Does Steve Kerr start Kuminga? I really wish Steve Kerr would stop giving Buddy Hield minutes, but I digress. I just think we just need to play our brand of basketball. Remember, I'm a Warriors fan, so I'll say our. Play our brand of basketball and get to our spots, make our shots, make our free throws. Hopefully the ref them start call some foul, because the man them a hug on past Steph Curry like them hear good news about a job, and the ref them not call it. But we not get into that. From the Rockets, Amen Thompson provided 11 points, 1 board, 3 assists. Dylan Brooks, 16 points, 3 boards, 1 assist. Alfred Sengun, 17 points, 16 boards, 7 assists. Jalen Green, phenomenal, 38 points, 4 boards, 6 assists. And the bench was able to contribute 20 points. What needs to change for the Rockets? Fred VanVleet, is either you get benched or you start play. You know if you play the game, I'm sure of it. You're an NBA champion. You know what it's like to be in the playoffs. You're a vet. Show that you know what you're doing and stand up and lead your team. Even if you're not the captain, lead your team. Them young boy are not supposed to show up Fred VanVleet like this. No sir. 7.6 boards, 2 assists. Terrible showing. The bench combined had more points than you. Do better, you're a big man and you understand what it means to win a championship. The Warriors were out rebounded, but it is to be expected because there are a lot of towering guys on the Rockets. The Warriors did have more turnovers, 15-10. However, the series is tied 1-1. So at this point, it's anybody's game still. I still have Warriors in 6 or 7, but I'd appreciate 6. The dynamic does change with Jimmy Butler, but I'm expecting to see great things nonetheless. Moving on, the Wolves versus the Timberwolves versus the Lakers. The Lakers won 94-85, and it was a good game, especially for the Lakers. Very low scoring, but a lot happened. For the Wolves, Julius Randle did show up tonight, or the other night rather, 27, 4 and 6. Anthony Edwards, they also showed up 25 and 6, no assists, and the bench was able to produce 17 points. Stark contrast from game 1, however, still not bad. What needs to change? Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. Let's start with Jaden McDaniels. 8 points, 4 boards. Yeah, you're a big man. Act like a job you do. I don't know what to tell him. I just know what to say is you're a big man. Act like you do your job. Right? Thanks. Rudy Gobert, you're 7'1". You're literally a freak of nature. Act like a big man. And the next, if when the third game rolls around, if Rudy Gobert is under 10 boards, because he finished 6 and 6, if he's under 10 boards at 7-1, me personally, I will start sending some things to your Instagram. You're not gonna like what the things them I'm gonna send. You're not gonna like it. So I suggest you do something about that. Do something for something to you. Mike Conley, old as dirt. Coach need to stop playing. Start DiVincenzo. Start Nickel Alexander Walker. But I don't know. Mike Conley isn't the answer. 0, 6 and 1. Mike Conley isn't the answer. Him and Rudy Gobert are supposed to have the same amount of rebound them. I'm so sorry. Series is tied though, and it shifts back to Minnesota. For the Lakers, LeBron did spin the block and show everybody why them say man the throws the one. 21, 11 and 7. Luka, another great night, near triple-double, 31, 12 and 9. Austin Reeves, 16, 5 and 5. What needs to change? Rui Hachimura, 11 and 5. Understandably, you're coming off an injury, but so is LeBron. And maybe LeBron coming off an injury versus you coming off an injury, Rui Hachimura, they may look different. That's fine, that's cool, but it's the playoffs, so play like you actually want to play, you know. Austin Reeves, I mean, this is better than his game 1 performance, but I think everybody listening should know that he's able of, you know, much more. So the Lakers did out rebound the Wolves 41 to 34. However, the turnover battle was kinda evenly matched. 11 for the Wolves, 12 for the Lakers. What has to change for both teams? Mike Daniels, Rudy, Conley, they have to step up. Julius Randle is showing that he is in fact supposed to be here, and Anthony Edwards is just continuing from where he left off in the regular season. The supporting cast has to step up. Naz Reid has to make his shots. Nickel Alexander Walker has to make his shots. Dante DiVincenzo has to make his shots. Defense has to be there. Rudy Gobert need to stop fear small ball and start play like you're a freak of nature. The Lakers, Luka not gonna get up and score 30 points every night, so the rest of them need to pull them weight. LeBron, I'm not gonna use the him old card, no, because when them ready, them say him are the most phenomenal man at this age and and all of that. So may I expect a 20-point night for the rest of the series. Austin Reeves has to be more present in the game. His presence is lacking. I'm not sure where he said that is at, but yeah, you need to step it up. The series is tied. Ideal situation for Minnesota is winning those 2 games at home and being 3-1 up, because you go back to LA, if you lose game 5, that's fine, because then you come back to Minnesota and you have game 6 and you can wrap up the series then. But if you push it to 7, you ain't winning. Now for the biggest story of this whole Game 2 saga, Memphis versus OKC. OKC was able to win 88-99. However, the Grizzlies did show up. There are a few things that they need to clean up on. Turnovers were high for the Grizzlies, 14-7. They were out-rebounded 55-42. However, the players did show up. Jaren Jackson Jr. finished 26-6. Desmond Bane finished 19-12-4. Ja Morant finished 23-6. And Scottie Pippen Jr. was able to contribute 13-4. What has to change for Memphis? Ja Morant has to be more present. Desmond Bane has to start knocking down shots. Jaren Jackson Jr. has to stay out of foul trouble. The supporting cast, the bench, they don't have a big rotation right now, but something has to change. At the time of this recording, the series is 0-2 in favor of OKC. I have OKC winning in 5. If OKC sweep the Grizzlies out in 4, conversations are going to be had, starting with Jaren Jackson Jr. in the off season. What needs to happen for Memphis in this off season. But we won't get too deep into that. We'll save that for the next episode. For OKC, Chet Holmgren finished 20-11. Jalen Williams, who has been phenomenal for OKC since the start of the playoffs, finished 24-6-5. Hartenstein was able to contribute 6 points, 10 boards, 3 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander produced 27-8-5. And Alex Caruso off the bench was able to provide 13-4-3. Tweaks that need to be made for OKC. Lou Dort has to get back that fire. He has to get back that fire. He was phenomenal in game 1, and he's been pretty okay for OKC this season, but he has to step up. He has to show that he wants to win, and he has what it takes to win with this team. Hartenstein also needs to step up. 10 boards is fine, 3 assists is fine. We're typically a big man. Lobs are being thrown to you. You're inside the paint most of the time. We need scoring. That's what OKC needs. Scoring. They have scorers, yes, but at the same time, your start is supposed to be able to get the man them at least 10 points a night as a big. Take a page out of Zobac's book and you understand what I mean. Now, the implications for Memphis. Tonight, April 24th, they do play a game against OKC. I haven't checked the score, so I couldn't tell you the score at this time. But I believe OKC was making a comeback because they were down about 20 points. But what needs to happen for Memphis? They have to win at least one game. They have to try, because if you go down 3-0 and you only win one game, you have to go back to OKC and try to win 2 games to tie out the series and push it to 7. OKC is not going to play 7 games. The man them want rest. Shai Gilgeous has not scored more than 35 points as yet. So them man they fully charge up and I wait. So it's either somebody gonna make a move and do the badness, or we're gonna get swept. I don't think we wanna get swept. So one does need to do on badness. I don't know if I tell you now. Everybody a big one like, well, come on man. But yeah, get serious and pretend like you don't want there. But yeah, that was it for me in terms of game 2 analysis. Just a few points to note for the episodes. What we'll try to do on Tuesdays is just do some regular analysis, and we'll try to run through the analysis of the games as well, and have some conversations. I'm looking forward to everyone's feedback in terms of the moves that some teams will have to make in this off season. The NBA draft that's coming up. We will discuss the NFL draft and the implications it has on all the teams involved in a few episodes, and we do have a lot of surprises coming. So once again, I want to thank everyone for the support. Remember to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and rate us 5 out of 5. If you can't give a 5, we take a 3. You know it go. Everybody just big up themselves, and thank you once again for tuning in to another sensational episode of the Dubcast, the latest sports podcast, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Once we're in, I'm out.